Yeah, and I put something up on Japasanga this morning because I have all these notes that I've made from reading Prabhupada's books, and there was one that really struck me. Every now and again, I'll just run through them all. There's about 1,000 points, and then of those, there's some that I really like, and I've kept them in a separate folder. And sometimes I'll just run through those, So it says, the real solution to all our problems is seeing Krishna behind everything and understanding what he wants from us. So that then you could say you were Krishna conscious. But a lot of the time in our lives, we go through periods where we're not sure at all what's going on or what it is we're supposed to be learning from this, what's the meaning behind it. And that's why it's difficult in the beginning, because we're not very Krishna conscious, and we're trying to push through this confused state into an area where things are clearer, and we can directly say, okay, this had to happen like this for a reason,
How do you sort of look to hear Krishna's voice in situations?
Well, sometimes you have to be patient because you're not sure, and then later on it may become clear. So at the time you may not be able to understand, but you have faith that if you persevere, that the understanding will come. It'll become very clear, And also, you may have been thinking you were really Krishna conscious, and everything seemed to be great, and now you're realizing that you're not that Krishna conscious, because it's confusing as to why Krishna would do that,
I guess when making decisions in life as well, it's important to look for Krishna, ask Krishna and try and get guidance. I don't know, is it a prayerful thing? You have to open a kind of dialogue in order to make the right decisions, or?
Yeah, and obviously, the chanting is the main thing, that we're chanting in a very attentive way, and we're really doing it sincerely to please Krishna and not for ourselves. So that takes a while. It's like when you're on the radio, right? You're trying to get a station, and sometimes it can take a while, and you get on the station, but even then it's still fuzzy, and then it takes some fine adjustment, and then finally it goes really, really clear, and then it's like, okay, now I'm getting the broadcast, So that alignment, that tuning in, that takes time. You go this way, that's wrong. You go that way, that's wrong. But as you're going in both directions, you come across it, and then you lose it again. And then you come across it, and then you lose it again. And you're trying to reduce the amount of diversion from the focus, from the alignment, till eventually it does. And that takes time, it takes skill, perseverance. It has to become a habit. And that means that, knowledge has to be there, skill has to be there, experience has to be there. So many things along the way, as we're making progress, we'll acquire.
I guess Krishna is a person, so I guess over the years of practicing Krishna consciousness, you kind of can start to see when Krishna's putting himself into the mix, if you know what I mean. You can kind of, is this the case that you've had experience with? You can kind of get a whiff of, okay, Krishna's involved in this one, the way things fall into place, or?
Yeah, the more you can do things from a place of compassion and love, the more you can start to tune in, It's like when I was a kid, I must have only been about 2 or 3 years old, and I remember I was sitting in a bungalow on the floor in my bedroom in Digmore, which is a little town just outside Liverpool in Skelmersdale. And I was just thinking, at one time this house wasn't here, and then I was imagining the grass that was outside was where I'm sitting right now. This area now that the house is on was just covered in grass. And then I was thinking, well, at one time the grass probably wasn't there as well, and so then it must have just been soil. So then I was imagining this ball of soil, the earth, before anything had grown on it, floating around in space. And I was thinking, well, probably at one time this earth wasn't here either. So then I was imagining this big vacuum, this dark vacuum of infinite darkness, silent, unending darkness. At one time, it must have been that before there was anything, this is what prevailed, a void. There was just a void there, you know. And then I was thinking, how did this all come into being? Grass, houses, lampposts, blue skies, clouds, the sun, birds, bees. And then I concluded in my infantile state that it could only have been because God thought it into existence, because the only thing that comes out of nothing is thought. So the thought has just come out of nowhere, and he's just thought everything into existence. So in this way, I concluded that there was someone behind all this. So that was probably the first epiphany I had, that there was something there, there was some creator there. And I was just thinking this morning, I was chanting, I was thinking, by the speculative method, the only thing you can come to a conclusion about is that there is nothing. It's the only thing that you can conceive of, is that there's a void, because you're thinking, well, how did this happen? You know, there must have been a time before it was here. And you go right back to before anything existed. And that's why, you know, speculation is impersonal. If you just go along on the speculative method, then it will just bring you to the conclusion of nothingness, of impersonalism, because it's the only thing you can really accept. Anything else is inconceivable, you know. So the gyan that we have to get free from is the thing that's obscuring our ability to see that God is there, and that he's the fundamental, foundational reality behind everything that exists. So we have to discard the speculative method and become more aware through intuition that God is there, that we have a relationship with him, and that he's conscious of me. And there's a dialogue going on all the time. So that takes time, that takes purification, it takes mercy, it takes devotion, it takes love, compassion. All these qualities will nurture our ability to appreciate that reality.
Is that kind of intuition, to be able to kind of read the signs, is that like a muscle that gets trained? Is that something, it's like a skill, or is it just trying to understand what that is?
Yeah, they say that the child can only learn to walk because the walking propensity is already innate within the child. And that's why the child doesn't give up, no matter how many times the child falls down. Because he knows that he can walk, he has the innate ability to walk, then he continually gets up until he can stay up on his legs. And then from there, he learns to run and do so many other things as well. So we innately have a love and appreciation and awareness of Krishna. That's there. And because we somehow know that is there, and we don't want to compromise on that God-given right to know and love God, then we persevere, we pursue it. But you know, the child could at any time say, look, I'm fed up with this. I've fallen down 57,000 times and I'm making a total fool of myself. Just get the wheelchair out, and from now on I'm just going to go around in the wheelchair and stuff all this walking business. I'm fed up with it, you know. But obviously the child will never be satisfied, and his legs will never develop properly because he just gave up the endeavor. So from what I've seen, when devotees do give up devotional service, you can meet them sometimes years later, and they may have got a nice house and established themselves in the material world. But I've never seen them any look happier, because they know that deep down inside they've given up the endeavor to tune into their innate capacity to love and be conscious of Krishna.
So like that, because earlier you said that the japa is connected to your ability to see Krishna's hand or Krishna's desire, like that. Is it something that we should be praying for, like the intelligence to be able to know what the right thing to do is, or is it like...
It just went blank then for a minute. But if you give up, then you'll never, like it'll just end. You'll just die with this to be continued at the bottom of the last frame you see as you're being dragged out, by somebody, to be continued. And then you'll have to resume. And I remember when I was putting TLAC on at Chaitanya College, I was just a Bhakta, and I was feeling really satisfied because I felt, okay, this was some unfinished work, and I'm getting back on the job again now. And it was like a big relief that, okay, I'm getting, this is actually what I should have been doing all the time. And I had this feeling all the time throughout my life up until then that it wasn't really what I should be doing. It was a waste of time. I went to college and we were learning how to make money and rip people up in advertising. And a lot of the kids were fired up because they could see that if they got good at this, that they'd get good jobs at the end of it, so they were getting really fired up. But I wasn't feeling fired up at all. I was thinking, well, surely there's more to it than just that, just ripping people off. So, if you've taken up Krishna consciousness and then later on you become distracted and you take birth again, you're not really going to be satisfied until you take up Krishna consciousness again.
Yeah, I think a lot of devotees have that kind of experience when you first get into Krishna consciousness. There's that familiarity about it, like, especially like we have some new boys coming along and they're just like taking it up like really quickly. Yeah, and you can just see that they're like loading up there where they got to.
Yeah,
it's
it can be a humbling experience as well because we may have been practicing Krishna consciousness for quite a while, and we see somebody just come in and they immediately just play madanga or just give a class or just sing way better than we've done, and we've been practicing for ages, and then you realize, oh, okay, this guy's obviously been at it before,
Yeah, so when I cut out earlier, I was just linking back to, you said that the japa is connected to your ability to kind of perceive what Krishna wants you to do.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Krishna says, Machita Sarvadergani, if you become conscious of me. And then he says, if you act out of false ego, not hearing me. So basically, you're standing there with your japa bag or sitting there with your japa bag on, and you're chanting, and you've got two basic things that can be going on. You can be hearing the holy name, or you can be hearing your false ego. Or the holy name is there, but it's being filtered through the false ego to the point where it's so muffled that it's not very clear at all. So the challenge is, can you become attentive to the sound of Krishna's holy name, which means then all the obstacles, sarvadergani, they'll all be removed. That's the challenge. Can you do that? Or are you too lazy? Are you too weak? Are you too insincere? Are you too premature to push all that nonsense aside and just hear? If you become conscious of me, but if you act out of false ego, not hearing me, then you'll be lost. I mean, that's really heavy, actually. If you chant your japa and you're casual, you really don't know what's going on. You really don't know what's at stake. You really, you've really missed the boat. It's like a heart surgeon doing an operation and scrolling on his phone and looking at Facebook at the same time. He's got one hand on the scalpel and he's looking on his phone, and the other guys are like, come on, are you serious? For God's sake, put the bloody phone down and do this, So we're like that a bit with japa. Are you aware what's going on here? This is a very critical operation that's taking place. You're trying to connect to the highest ras from the most fallen condition. At least get your hand out your pocket and put that bloody phone down and do this, do this properly. Otherwise you're not giving the patient a chance, you're not giving yourself a chance. So let's try and be a little bit more aware of that, so that when we pick up the bead bag, we're really there, we're really concerned that this is going to be good, not with some kind of premeditated agenda as well, that I'm going to chant now and all my problems will just fly away and I'll feel really blissful. And then it's just really you're chanting, but really the mantra you're chanting is just me, 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 me. You're just obsessed and fixed on you. You know, you're the center of the universe. You're the one that needs to be peaceful. You're the one that needs to experience the bliss. Everything has to be revolving around you. Everybody has to smile at you, be nice to you, not say bad things about you. Oh, no, sorry. This is about Krishna. It's about pleasing. Are you chanting in a pleasing way? Would Krishna be pleased if he was standing watching you chant right now? Would he be pleased by the way you're chanting?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when you actually chant good japa, it is like you can see how everything in your day is kind of unfurling perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Krishna's like, do this, now do that. Oh, here's a flower, like whatever, you know.
It feels like it's like if you have a plate of spaghetti. I remember one time I was on Sower Street and I had a lot of problems and I started chanting and I can feel all the knots being undone. It's like a big plate of spaghetti strings and they're all wrapped around each other. And the chanting was just undoing all the strings, clearing everything. And at the end of it all, it was like having a counseling therapy session on a subliminal level. You know, I was completely A-okay about everything.
I was thinking yesterday, because I was just walking back and forth chanting, and at one point I just started hearing the mantra, and I was thinking, wow, my mouth has been saying this mantra for quite a few years now, and it's quite good at saying the sound. Like I've been chanting 2 hours a day for like 5 years. I was kind of just appreciating how much association I've had with just the shape of the mantra, if you know what I mean. Like it was making me pay more attention, because I was like, oh, I've got some muscle memory here actually. Like we're practicing chanting, and do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I quite liked the sound when I was listening to it. Like, oh, this is a practiced sound, you know.
Yeah, and also the feel of it, because how your tongue moves inside your mouth whilst you're saying it is also a perception. And also the touch of the bead as well, how the bead feels on your fingers while you're chanting, you're associating with Tulsi. The more you can involve your senses in the chanting process, the more you can become absorbed. So you're appreciating the feeling of the bead, how smooth it is, how it's Tulsi. The sound, Krishna, such a clean sound. I was thinking of writing a poem one time, and it was going to be the ish in Krishna is the ish of the sound of wish, is the rush of the sound of wind in the trees, is the gush in the water, is the shush in silence when you say shush. That sound means so many things: bliss, krish, rush, wish. They're all there in Krishna. And the intrinsic meaning of the word is actually coming from Krishna. And Na, what Na can mean, and then Rama, what it can mean. You know, there's so many words that have those sounds in, and they connotate a certain feeling. So when you're actually saying Hare, I mean, Hare is Hare. It's a celebration, or it's Hari, it's urgency. Hare Krishna, Hare. The sound means so many things, you know.
Yeah, it's nice, like to try and absorb your senses in it as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. Rather than like take it away from the mental platform and just take it down a level and just be with.
It's far out, isn't it, that the mental platform. Ultimately, the mental platform brings us to a conclusion of voidism. It's an impersonal speculative method. So that mechanism we're using to try and analyze and perceive the holy name is dysfunctional. And like you say, we can sidestep the mental process and we can directly experience, you know, it's like if a man is just about to meet maybe he's been at war for 4 years, and at one point his wife thought he died, and then she hears he's alive and he's coming home, and it's 4 years, and suddenly he gets off the train and he sees his wife standing there, and he starts to run towards his wife, and there's no mental platform. He's not wondering, shall I take the left foot next, or shall I do the right foot next? Have I polished my shoes? Is my tie straight? All that, that person the other day was really rude to me. All that is just swept aside. It has no bearing. This is such an intense. He's going to embrace his wife. She thought he was dead. That they're together again. His eyes are filling with tears. He's running, and she's running towards him, and they embrace. And there's no mental platform. It's completely 100% just emotion and experience, That's what our japa should be like, We've not just been away for 4 years. We've been away for one lifetime of Lord Brahma is 311 trillion and 40 billion years. And we don't know whether we've been away for lifetimes of Brahma. And we're getting a chance to go back. That's a lot of emotion, If we could just tune into what's actually going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go. I've got to,
great.
got to do a few things. Is that okay?
Yeah, it makes me want to do some japa. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get into some japa, just even for the sake of it. We've done the 16 already, but just be able to see. The trick with the mind is you say, look, I'll just do one more. And as you're doing it, you say, well, what about one more? You just do it like that. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Haribol.
Eight bars? Bloody hell. Human form of life. I don't want to leave my Lord waiting here for me no more. Though he's been patiently waiting, he don't deserve to wait no more. I've been round this cycle one too many times and now I'm bored. Feels like I've been here before. Now I'm ready to abort. Act like I'm gonna live forever, but I'm told that time is short. TikTok can't buy a second, plus to life there's more than blindly scrolling on your phone. Don't you know you can go back home? Go back home. Keep that one, maybe. Krishna, wherever you may be, I'm down here on earth and I'm calling out, please. Help me out, get me free from this disease. Take me back home to the cows and the honeybees. Krishna, wherever you may be, I'm down here on earth and I'm calling out, please. Can you help me out, get me free from this disease? Take me back home to the land of the honeybees. Wherever you may be, I'm down here on earth and I'm calling out, please. Can you help me out, get me free from this disease? Take me back home to the land of the honeybees.